It took some detective work, but the gang and I managed to track down where Rajan had gone into hiding. Somehow, he'd managed to transform a long-forgotten temple into the thriving center of his spice operation, and it's there where we'll find him. The jungle, too thick to drive through, forced us to walk the long distance to our target. We ran into a few problems along the way, but pushed on. For the temple was more than just Rajan's hideout. It was also home to the Clockwork Heart. A pump so strong and tireless, it could increase spice production tenfold. Good for Rajan, but awful for the rest of the world. Hope he's not counting on that heart too much, because tonight, it comes home with me.
Sly Cooper and the gang in The Predator Awakens. Welcome back to Sly 2, Band of Thieves. And indeed, welcome to the deep jungles of India with Rajan's temple. Right off the bat, we have one thing over this way that we can go ahead and do, and we have some familiar enemies. Since we're in the same kind of general location, we're gonna see a lot of familiar stuff. But even so, despite this being the same country, the same general location, the same villain and the same enemies and a lot of the same, this is a very different place, and going through it will not feel old and tiring, I assure you. Anyway, I fell in the water. Very good. I swear I can make this jump, come on. This is okay, fuck it. The bridge is here for a reason. I'm sorry. That was a waste of time.
Sneak into the temple and take some recon photos so I can assess the situation. Just be careful. If you get hurt, the nearest hospital is 106 miles from here. According to my map of the area, there should be a hidden passage into the temple behind that waterfall.
Nice work, Bentley. I'll take a hidden passage over the front door any day.
Of course we will. It's loads more fun after all. Now this place, as you can see already, there's a lot of stuff to climb on. There's a lot of verticality here. And I think I've mentioned this briefly before, but some of the levels coming up are going to be very vertical. I believe I mentioned this when talking about the higher jump for Murray. This is first and foremost what I was thinking of, but it's certainly not the only example either. How about you just go ahead and screw off, boy man? That's what... Tried to say boy, sound like bay. It didn't really work out. Anyway, this big structure we're walking on here is Rajan's temple itself, and all the stuff around is, you know, stuff around. Bottles we're gonna save for a little bit later as usual. That's a jump that you're not supposed to make technically, but you can. Here's a treasure to remember for later. There's a lot to look at here, and honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I get somewhat easily turned around in this place. Mainly because... Do not... Well... Okay... I guess I'll have to try and remember that happening or something to just like show it off later. I don't know, whatever. It's not the... Good job, Sly. That's precisely what I needed you to do. This place, I get turned around in quite easily because unlike... Honestly, in my opinion, unlike a lot of the levels in this game, there isn't that much that really stands out to me. In the sense that, well, right now... I don't know where the fuck I'm going, to be quite honest. Oh, I am way out of my way. Wow. So, you'll just have to forgive me that I'm going to be messing around and messing up, most importantly. Because, in addition to the fact that things kinda mix together for me, because it is so vertical and there's a lot of walls and trees and things, as you could probably tell, the GPS markers get very quickly lost. Like, see, I was completely on the wrong track. I don't know why I thought I was going to be going on the temple, but at least we got some exploring out of the way, I suppose. But I don't want to talk too much about the area itself just yet. We're gonna go a little bit more into my thoughts on that later on. First and foremost, we have a sewage pipe to go through.
Bingo, you found the spice growing facility. Now, from what I know of at the top of this room. That access tube should get you up there.
All right, I'll head for the top.
Sounds great. I like this room a lot. It's kind of interesting because you have a general objective, but there's actually a few different ways you can go about this. Because this game is such a free wow. Because this game is so much so you know, free platformer with a lot of opportunities and a lot of options and things. It allows for a lot of, wow, I'm going to die, aren't I? Nope. Here we go. Knockout dive makes everything better. I love it. So our main objective is not shown by the compass, but whatever. Our main objective is first and foremost to get upwards. To do that, we can go ahead and find these buckets. This is kind of a cool mechanic. We need to... Oh my gosh. Hey, I landed on something! Wow, that's lucky! Actually, well, is it lucky? Because I was kind of supposed to be up there and now I'm down here and that kind of ruined everything. No, stop latching onto the wrong thing, Sly, thank you. Okay, if the guard cannot be an asshole, you wanna ride along with these buckets to get to the top here. It's kind of a cool mechanic. They will eventually drop water over here so you can't get any further. But we don't really need to get any further either, do we? We just need to find...
Some of the vines around here are really slippery. Jump and hit the circle button to go for a ride.
Oh really? We have a new mechanic. Oh, guess what to do? You jump and hit the circle button. God damn it. And it's not even really a different mechanic from what we've already been doing. I gotta be honest, I don't see the point of really differentiating between the slide there and the normal walk. Because, as you'll soon see, it's not really an inconvenience that it's slippery. It doesn't really make a difference. Anyway, once again, reconnaissance photos.
Looks like half of the heart is being used to super irrigate the spice plants. Check it out! Rajan's carrying half the clockwork heart on that stick.
Man, Rajan's pictures seems to always be my worst ones. But, come on.
That crane is keeping half of the heart suspended. There's the entrance to this level, only I can't figure out how to get in here from the temple's exterior. Bring those photos back to the safe house. We'll really need to think about this one.
Now what I don't get is, why does this take us right out of the place when some missions make you go all the way back yourself? I don't know, it's weird.
The clockwork heart is under some steep security. Heck, Rajan is carrying half of it at all times. To get at the goods, I'll need to gather some more information. Sly will plant a bug in Rajan's office, while I lift the spice operation blueprints off the Spice Lord while he makes his rounds. Unfortunately, while we're collecting intelligence on him, he'll be collecting data on us with an elephant-driven satellite array. Take it out, or he'll be able to intercept all of our communications.
As you can see, we have a lot to do to get down Rajan. But first and foremost, how about we go to the thief net? We have some things to sell, I'm sure, and we have, most importantly, some things to buy. Okay, so the snooze bomb. It's an equipable power for Bentley, as you'd expect, and it's kind of a mix of the remote bombs that we bought before and the snooze darts, in the sense that, well, sleep darts, I should say, in the sense that you throw a bomb and it makes enemies fall asleep. It can be kind of useful, but honestly, I just generally prefer the snooze dart, so if I can only afford one of these, I'm gonna skip over this one. Juggernaut Throw can be quite handy if you're in a pinch with a lot of enemies as Murray. When you throw an object on another object, and this also goes for enemies obviously, so object is kind of a misleading word in the sense that this is mostly going to be useful for when it's enemies, the impact will create a shockwave knocking enemies down with an actually pretty decent range. With the enemies knocked down, they're obviously not going to attack you anymore, and they're also vulnerable to be picked up. Meaning you can just keep picking up enemies, throwing them at guys, making a shockwave and knocking everyone down, and so continues the circle of the thunderflap. The only thing to keep in mind is that this shockwave doesn't do a lot of damage at all, so you can't really reliably kill enemies using this. It's only useful for chaining these combos where you pick up enemies and throw them to kill them that way. But even if this doesn't sound that great to you, there's pretty much no reason not to get it unless you're tight for money. It doesn't use any of the special gauge, and it's a passive skill, meaning it doesn't take up a slot in the gadget grid. Also, Murray just kinda doesn't get that much exciting stuff, at least early on in the game. So, if you're not doing it for yourself, do it for Murray. He deserves it. He's a good boy. Lastly, the Stealth Slide. This move would be super useful. This is effectively a different and, in my opinion, somewhat more controllable version of the roll from the first game, in that it makes you move faster, especially in slopes and wherever you have good momentum. But most importantly, it does so silently. It's effectively a run button that doesn't make noise. It is nothing more than a convenience though, just to make some parts of the game move a little bit faster. For instance, if you're looting a guard, and it keeps walking further away from you and you need to tiptoe over to it slowly and steadily, it's slightly faster if you use the slide, but it's also a little bit more risky, because it's easy to overshoot it and hit the guard, and then everything will be ruined. In addition, unlike the roll from the first game, this just gobbles up the special meter. You're not gonna have any room to do any more moves than this if you're gonna choose to use it. I find it hard to recommend for that reason alone, but the main reason I started this by saying it would be useful is because of an exploit. It's been discovered that if you just mash the R1 button, you'll move faster than a normal walk, but you're not gonna get spotted. Which is the exact same purpose of the Stealth Slide, except it's free, it can be easier to control, and it doesn't use a slot in the gadget grid. As you can imagine, this renders the Stealth Slide completely obsolete, and the only reason you have to buy it is for completion's sake. Since I can only afford one of these, I think the most useful one is gonna be the Juggernaut Throw. Now with that, we again have a lot that we need to do. So I suggest we begin doing that next time. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you then.